It was Father's Day, a surprisingly lonely day for me. It's been a while since I last saw my kids. My eldest son will be turning 18 this year. I haven't heard much about or from them since my ex won custody of them after they got out of foster care. All 5 of them. I miss not seeing them every day. Hell, I even miss their bickering. My eldest, as I mentioned before, has turned 17 this past September, which means he'd be 18 this year and be able to decide what he wanted to do. He would be able to choose whether he wants to stay with his mother or come with me. But until then, I had to wait, which is why this Father's Day was a lonely one. I decided I'd do what most normal people would do on a depressing day: go drown my sorrows. As I walked into the bar, I felt the cool air blow across the top of my bald head that I had recently had shaved. The cool air was a nice change after the rather odd heat wave we were having this time of year. I walked up to the bar and was greeted by the familiar face of Lloyd, the bartender. Lloyd shot me his usual cocky smile before brushing his blonde hair back behind his ear. "Down the dumps, Billy?" he said with a smug grin, his eyes examining the taps in front of him as if he knew my intent. "Of course, it's Father's Day," I replied as I pulled my wallet out of my back pocket. "So, the usual Father's Day routine this year? Rum on the rocks?" he asked before grabbing me a good-sized glass, perfect for the kind of drinking that I'm used to. "You betcha. If you don't mind my asking, how's my tab here?" asked Lloyd, before he laughed lightly. "Fine as always. Besides, it is Father's Day. I'll pay for half. It's the least I can do is you tip me well when you're drunk." He chuckled before fixing me my drink. The rest of the night went like every other night I decided to go out drinking. I talked with Lloyd, chased a couple girls, got shot down, got into a bar fight. The other dude got tossed out by Lloyd while I was taken to the bathroom by some of the guys to wash up the blood coming from my face before Lloyd offered to stitch it up. That's what everyone liked about Lloyd. He was a doctor before he was a bartender. One of Lloyd's patients went crazy while hooked up to an IV that was keeping him alive. The patient waited for the nurses to make their final rounds before he put a chair in front of the door and unplugged himself from the IV. Lloyd was just leaving the building when a bunch of nurses ran past him towards the room the patient had locked himself in to die. Lloyd was only seconds away from saving the guy. If he was a minute sooner, that patient would have survived. Lloyd quit after that and became a bartender. Anyway, after patching me up, Lloyd closed the bar and sent me home in a cab, which he paid for. When the cab pulled up to my place, something was off. The light in my bedroom was on. I tossed the cabbie the money Lloyd gave me for the cab and rushed inside as quick as my drunk feet could carry me. I didn't even need to open the door. Whoever turned the light on in my room did that for me. I slowed down when I got past the main entrance of my home. Every other light in my house was off, even the TV I leave on when I go out drinking, so people think someone is home. I paid attention as best I could. I thought I could hear noises coming from inside my kitchen. I decided to walk in there slowly, thinking if I was quiet, whoever was in my house wouldn't notice me. Figures. You're drunk and you've got blood on your wife beater. You always were a violent drunk. A rather deep, yet young-sounding voice scoffed. I whipped around to find the source of the voice, only to see someone sitting at my dinner table. From the voice, I could tell it was a dude. He appeared to have pale skin, as if he was always inside on the computer or something. I couldn't tell if he was skinny or not because of the baggy black hoodie, which was unzipped to reveal a white t-shirt underneath with the word "fear" written in a reddish-black color. I couldn't see his face due to the hood, but I could see he had glasses, as they reflected the moonlight coming in through the kitchen window. "Who are you and why are you in my fucking house?" I shouted, aggravated of course. "Oh, come on, Dad. You used to recognize me even when drunk. Or did you just like to beat on anyone who was smaller than you?" he shouted back before a small flash of silver came up from his pocket. He had a knife. "Dad? How can I be your dad when I haven't seen my kid in 5 years and moved about 4 times since I last saw them?" I replied, still sounding pissed. "I don't know. I'll tell you what. I'll help remind you which kid of yours I am by replaying a little event of my life for you. Except this time, you'll be in my shoes." He chuckled before getting up from the table and running into the living room, which connected to the hallway I walked through. I whipped one of the cups off the counter at him, missing by a mile. I had no choice but to run after him. After all, he was smaller than me and he had a knife. I ran into my living room, but to no avail. He wasn't there. I slowly walked through my living room towards the kitchen, knowing he couldn't have just vanished. I kept my hands curled into fists, in case I could get my icy blue eyes on him. It wasn't long before I felt a sharp kick to the back of my leg, causing me to fall to my knees. The young man grasped me from behind and held the blade to my neck. It seemed to be a steak knife. My steak knife at that. I could tell by the hand-carved wooden handle. "Anything yet, father?" He chuckled. It took me a moment of thinking. It was my eldest son, the first child I had. When I was drunk, I held the knife to his neck to threaten his mother so she would stay with me. It worked, but obviously it had some negative repercussions. "Lucas, I'm sorry," I said before breaking down in tears. I wasn't sure why, but it caused him to laugh. "Nothing will make me forgive you for what you've done to me. To all of us. I won't let you hurt anyone else. Karma's a bitch," he said with a chuckle before dragging the toothed knife across my throat, slitting it. I began to choke on my own blood, causing him to laugh more. "The crimson liquid that once bonded us will be spilled upon this floor tonight. You've gotten exactly what you deserve." He laughed maniacally as he tightened his grip on me. "I was born into your arms. You will die into mine," he whispered into my ear as I crossed the thin line between life and death.